tell us this story. What's going on? There's some Muslims marching. The Washington Times. I'll read the story. I don't think you can read it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm having trouble getting to it.
but I got it. So from the WashingtonTimes.com, headline: Hussein, American Muslims march on Saudi embassy to protest extremism. That's a weird thing to protest. By Rahat Hussein. He says, blaming the Saudi government for exporting extremism around the Muslim world, a cluster of American Muslim groups joined a protest at the Saudi embassy this week. Organized by the Chicago-based Al-Baqi organization, the rally was held in remembrance of a multitude of Islamic heritage sites that were destroyed by the Saudi family upon assuming power 9 decades ago. A little hard to hold a family responsible for what happened 9 decades ago.
Well, the thing is, they're still destroying holy sites. This is part and parcel to the Saudi regime, is that they essentially say visiting a graveyard is worshiping a graveyard, and so graves have become idols, and so graves must be destroyed. And so they go through and they destroy all these historical grave sites and all these shrines that have been there for thousands of years in their effort to exterminate idolatry. And they're still doing it to this day. It's not. This should say it like in the last 9 decades, not just 9 decades ago.
I guess it does say that were destroyed by the Saudi family assuming power. Yeah, I guess you're right. It should be a little corrected. So chief among them was the first ever Islamic cemetery, personally founded by Islam's Prophet Muhammad, named the Garden of Baqi. The cemetery contains numerous relatives of Muhammad, as well as a large number of companions of the Prophet. So that really stinks. The Saudi government destroyed Muhammad's grave?
Well, his grave is still there because his grave has been made into a mosque called the Masjid, or the Mosque of the Prophet. And this is one of the more recent things, is there are sort of rumors or rumors of rumors that they want to destroy the Prophet's mosque, which has been there since the beginning. So, yeah, there's some mention of that in the article too, that this is one of the things that they're talking about. But yeah, they just desecrate graves, and it's not like this is just like unused land or anything. These are like graves where people have built shrines, where people make what people travel to, or they ban family members from visiting graves of their own family because they're construing it as idolatry. Like,
Whoa.
it's insane.
That is really stupid. Amongst the chants were condemnations of terrorism and calls for restoration of destroyed holy sites. Well, that's kind of hard to do. Like, you should restore that thing you bombed.
Yeah, that sounds a little far-fetched to me.
Weak.
But
protesters attempted to hand-deliver a letter to the embassy voicing their complaints. Well, I hope it was a very strongly worded letter. However, guards for the building refused to accept the document. And forbade entry into the building to do so. Muslims from approximately 15 different states attended, attempting to make a show of solidarity in opposing violent extremism. Well, that's good. I'd like to see more unity over opposing violent extremism. I think a lot of people already oppose violent extremism. Most people,
yeah.
Including Muslims, Christians, anyone. But you know, we need to be loud about it. Like, there's plenty of things people are loud about. This should be one of them. Opposing violent extremism. Although I don't like the term extremism. That's kind of weird. It's not.
I haven't come up with a better term. Like, fundamentalist doesn't work for me because a person should...
Violence.
Just violence, opposing violence. Yeah, that's fine too.
I mean, I don't care if someone is very extreme in their beliefs. Like, that's good. Cool. I'm extreme in my beliefs. I really, really believe that property rights should be respected and that consent is important. I am extreme in that view. But I'm not violent, and I oppose violence, not extremism. That was one of the things as a propagandist for the ACLU I was really uncomfortable with when I was fundraising for them. They would say things like the right-wing extremists want to, you know, like, take away your rights or whatever. And I was like, extremists? Come on. It's so nondescript. It's just emotional language.
It just means they're unusual.
Yes. So okay, here's a video of what are we looking at, Dobby?
This looks like a video of Muslims performing the pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia. So you can see they're dressed in these white cloths, which are supposed to be sort of symbolic of like a death shroud. And they perform prayers and they travel to Mecca, right? I did this a couple of years ago, and I actually had a lot of problems with the Saudi government while doing this. Because it was very important to me not to lie on this like religious pilgrimage, and the things that they ask you to sign to get a visa into the country say things like, "I swear I will obey all of the laws of Saudi Arabia," which I couldn't sign. So
why wouldn't you follow all the laws?
Because I haven't read them.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
yeah, I asked the embassy to give me a copy of all of the laws so that I could read them before I agreed to them. And they said they couldn't do that, but that they had like a 24-page document that they could give me on like the basics of Saudi law. And number one was that the Saudi government is an Islamic government, and I can't agree to that. So I couldn't sign it.
Why couldn't you agree to that?
I'm of the opinion, and I've written quite a bit on this subject, that the very concept of a state is un-Islamic, and that the concept of sort of a violent monopoly over a geographic region was not the example that Prophet Muhammad established in his lifetime, and it wasn't even the normative example throughout a lot of Islamic history, and that the concept of an Islamic state is a contradiction in terms.
Okay, I follow that. I didn't realize that.
But even if you want to take a minarchist position, the Saudi government, the Saudi family, they don't rule according to Islamic law. They came to power by force. They make up rules as they go along. The article goes into it a little bit. They're part of this ideology called Salafism or Wahhabism, which is a modern extremism. I know. Okay, so what's better than it? It's a modern violent ideology, and it was established through violence, and it was established through the backing of Western countries for political purposes. And it's not a government established on any sort of Islamic principle other than the window dressing.
I agree with that. So before we lose you at the end of this segment, tell us about what is wrong with the activism of going into supermarkets and pulling things off the shelves and leaving them there.
Oh yeah, so you guys talked about this on the Freedom Fiends yesterday, and I was talking about how I've worked with pro-Palestinian activist groups here in California, and one of the things that they do is, or one of the things that they did at least a couple of years ago, was they would go into a grocery store, find Israeli products, purchase them, and then walk them out of the store, walk them back into the store, and then return them. And the reason was because the policy of that grocery store was once an item has left the store, they can't put it back on the shelf. And so it was a way of sending all Israeli products back to the manufacturer. And I was sort of two minds about this, but I was ambivalent enough about it that I couldn't participate. And it was that it seems fraudulent to purchase a thing with the intent on returning it. Like it seems like part of this agreement is that you're purchasing it because you want it. But at the same time, it's like that's the store's policy. You're not breaking any of their rules. So like the lawyer in me says, well, you're abiding by the letter of the agreement, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like if you were playing some game, you would be like, haha, I win. I got the game. But this isn't a game. This is like actual people's livelihood, and you're doing a bad thing. So like look at the consequences. It's not just like some isolated game. Well, we're going to lose Davi now, but it was a lot of fun chilling with you, man. Thanks for joining us on Peace News Now. You can check out Davi's websites. He's got a million of them.
Just go to DaviBarker.com. They're all there.
DaviBarker.com. That's a good idea. Have them all listed there. It's like a portal into the world of the Muslim agorist.